Hello! So today we are taking a look at one of the airports that's been introduced into Microsoft Flight Simulator as a free update as part of World Update 16 that covers the Caribbean. So we are at Vilo, Acuña, which is on a small island just south of Cuba. And we're going to go and have a look around the airport. I have to say, first impressions are that it's brilliant. This is, rare to see scenery this good, especially given away for free. Something that strikes me straight away is the modelling of the trees is very, very nice. It doesn't seem to affect frame rate either. So the technique they've used is a very good one. Okay, so if we come down into the airport, we'll just have a little nose around. So I've looked at some photographs online, and it's pretty much, they've nailed it. It looks exactly like the real place. So here's the departure hall. You can see this huge building, and we can come through the departure hall. Obviously we're going to fly through the walls to have a look around, and then you get the departures, obviously where you can wait for your flight. If we come out to the flight line, we see the air side of the airport. You can see my little Piper Archer over there waiting for us, because we're going to have a little fly around. So, Aeropuerto, Vilo, Acuña, Cayo Largo. That's the name of the island, by the way, Cayo Largo. So then you've got the arrivals lounge as well. So obviously we'll just fly through here quickly, show you it. So yeah, this has all been modelled as well, really nicely. So we can come through and we can see, the first site you would see. I guess there would be various vendors and taxi people here and holiday reps. And then you get your first sight of the island when you come to visit. So let's go back through. There's the baggage. Let's come back through the building, literally through the building. And let's fly up in the air and have a look. It's very cool, isn't it? With the fluttering Cuban flags. So we come down, the attention to detail is stunning. It really is stunning. So you can see there's loads of baggage trucks and stuff stored away around here. There's the fire engines, some crew. Cargo containers. The control towers have been nicely modelled as well. You can't go inside the control tower, so I already tried that to go and have a quick look before I started recording. But we can see through the windows. And they've done a really nice job with modelling the control tower as well. You can see everything's in there. The only thing that's missing is people, to be honest. So I imagine there must be some sort of licensing problem with representing people. Anyway, just looking around the perimeter of the airfield, you can see it's really nicely done. And the ground markings are nicely done, the light gantries are nicely done. There's nothing about this place I don't like so far. So anyway, let's put the drone camera to one side. Let's go and get inside our little aeroplane and go and get it fired up and take it for a flight, shall we? So I have to remember how to fly the Archer now, which is going to be fun. So here we go. So mixture is there. So battery goes on, alternator can come straight on. I don't think we need to use the fuel pump typically. This is a Coronado aeroplane, so it's not going to be super accurate. I'm just going to adjust my sound so I'm pointing, or so I've got the correct sound coming through my speakers, so I can hear it in my headphones. There we go. Hang on a second. Okay, so we can go and put the anti-collision lights on before we start the engine, and we'll check the fuel selector if we can remember where it is. It's down here. So by default it's on the left tank by the look of it, or we can go to off, so we'll put it on the left tank, that's fine, and we'll crack the throttle open and we'll turn the engine over. And we have an engine. Okay, so the avionics master switch is over there. Just wait for the GPS to fire up. Go and put the nav lights on. I believe you roll this downwards to get nav lights. Should we have a look outside? Yep, we've got the nav lights up and running. So let's see what the volume levels are like. It's looking good. We don't actually need the GPS. We're just going to go and fly a circuit. I guess we could taxi out while we're waiting for it to boot up. Of course, you wouldn't do that in the real world because you have all sorts of problems. Okay. So let's go and taxi out. I believe we have to backtrack here. Just want to turn into the wind for takeoff. It's an international airport actually, so we're not obviously going to need the full extent of the airport, so we'll just, or the full extent of the runway I should say. So we're going to, rather than backtrack and use this enormous runway, we'll take off into the wind, which is coming down the runway. We should have plenty of runway. So I'm just going to check that volume again. Yeah, it's okay. Okay, so pull back, and we're in the air. For some reason, this has put us way back further down the cockpit than we normally would be. That's more like it. It's a tiny little aeroplane. So, look at this. This is very cool, isn't it? Very, very good. It's such a temptation to put your head through the side of the aeroplane, but it ruins the immersion. Okay, we'll just circle round. So I'm just going to do a very quick circuit and have a look at the scenery around the airfield and come back in again, just to give you a heads up on what it looks like. It's a misty day, there's some sea mist has come in. Should we try this without the sea mist? It's a shame that the weather's so bad today. So let's put this on few clouds. And we'll scoot across the cockpit so we can look out of this side. It's very cool, isn't it? I'm surprised that there are no sandbanks here. I was expecting to see sandbanks because they're in the satellite views of the airfield. I guess you can't have everything. Okay, let's jump back into the pilot seat. So as you can see, it's an international airport, it's a huge runway. Slowing down, getting within flaps range slowly. I love flying the little Piper Archer too. It's very easy to fly, very forgiving, and it looks great. I love how there's patchwork on the runway as well, where they've repaired bits of it. Very cool. There's fencing around the airport. I don't know if you can see that very clearly. And we're back down. So let's taxi back in. So this is Vilo Acuña, just south of Havana in Cuba. It's very, very cool. taxi back in towards the terminal. Get told off for taxiing too fast now, won't I? We are ripping along here, but I don't want to waste your time. So we'll come and park directly outside of the arrivals doorway. Okay, so hopefully you enjoyed that. And cut the engine. So, Vilo Acuña. If I just show you on the map, I'll go and zoom out. So you can see here's the island of Cayo Largo. If we zoom out, we've got just north of us here the mainland of Cuba. You've got Havana just north of us. And then obviously the mainland stretches out to the southeast. But yeah, it's an amazing place. It's like I said, it's a shame some of these sand patterns don't appear to be modelled, but I guess you can't have everything. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for this one. This is Vilo Acuña. So I'm going to move on to the next airfield now. Okay, so the next airfield we are visiting is Sangster International on the north coast of Jamaica. So it's in Montego Bay, I think that's how you pronounce it. So let's go and have a look around. So you can see it's a huge airport. It's a big old international airport, so there's lots of gates, huge terminal building. So we're just flying around with the drone camera to show you around the airport here. So really nicely modelled control tower again. So the attention to detail here is really something else. Yeah, so you can see all the seats inside. We can't go in there unfortunately, but it's still very, very good. And look at the attention to detail even on the roof of all the antennas and everything. It's something else, isn't it? So if we come down and come flying across the tarmac like Superman, or across the concrete I should say, and have a look at some of the modelling of the structures. It looks very, very good, doesn't it? So you've obviously got departures and arrivals on different floors of the airport in this airport. So we can fly inside here and have a look around. So again, it's a bit barren without people in here, but you can't really expect the world with these sort of things, can you? And you can see the limitations of the resolution here and there. But we can fly around the airport. So this would be a great fun airport to come into, you know, if you were using the big jets. Okay, so there is this like big, I guess you'd call it a rotunda, which would be like, you know, where the shops and the cafes are before you go into the terminals. It's very cool. There's this wonderful design on the roof. But again, it just looks very sparse, doesn't it, without people dotted around. It's a shame. I'm not sure if we can go inside here to walk down to the terminal. Apparently we can. Very cool, isn't it? Or to the gates, I should say. So if we fly out of the end, yeah. There's certain bits you're not allowed to walk through. You come further down, there's another control tower. Let's just go and have a look at this one. Again, it's really nicely modelled. And I mean, just look at the detail. It's crazy, isn't it? The car parks, all of the road furniture, all of the painting. It's very, very nicely done. And obviously then you get the public interface to the airport with Sangster International written there. And Montego Bay, obviously. And you've got the departure hall. Very, very cool. It's very good on frame rate. Quite how they've achieved this, I don't know. You can see how smooth it is. And they've got this same technique going with the trees, which seems to work really well. So down this end we've got Obviously logistics for baggage and storage. I don't know if we can go inside any of these buildings, probably not. It's still very cool though, isn't it? So if we go and have a look outside of the environs of the airport, do we get anything special out here in the bay? Well, quite apart from the approach lighting, which is really nicely done for a change. Let's go and have a close look at this. Yeah, that's so cool, isn't it? They don't often get this attention to detail in the airports. It's very cool. Even the stones have been done really nicely done. So you've got a VOR over here. If you ever wondered what a VOR looks like, this is what they look like. You've got the sea wall that's been modelled. It's really lovely, isn't it? It's obviously to stop waves encroaching on the airfield. I'm impressed, hugely impressed. So I don't think there's much use in doing a flight around, but you can see just how good this is. Like all of the air conditioning ducting has been built on top of the buildings as well. It's really nicely done. I'm well impressed. So yes, this is Sangster International on the north coast of Jamaica. So this is again one of the free updates that's part of World Update 16 for the Caribbean. Okay, so I'll just pause the recording and we'll move on to the next one. Hello! So we're back and we are now at North Eleuthera in the Bahamas. So let's go and have a look around the airfield. Again, it looks amazingly modelled, doesn't it? Makes you wonder, looking at these trees, if these are some lessons that have been learned for Flight Sim 2024. Because they've never done this before with this level of detail in the trees, and it seems to be a very efficient way of doing it, however it's doing it. So we've obviously got some cafes and service buildings here. It's very cool, isn't it? Obviously this is a bit smaller than the airfield we were just at a few minutes ago. So if we zoom up into the air, and we'll have there's a tank farm down at the end by the look of it, and a very impressive fire engine for such a small airfield, but oh well. So you can see it's very much a more provincial airfield. But it's very cool, isn't it? They've done a really nice job with it. We've got some really nice custom assets here. There's a satellite dish here. Generators. The fuel. And I'm guessing, yeah, welcome to North Eleuthera International Airport. Very cool. I actually sometimes think these kind of airports are more impressive and more fun to fly into and out of than the great big hubs. They somehow seem a little bit more connected to the landscape around them. So if we go and pull ourselves up into the air, let's just have a look at the wider landscape around North Eleuthera then to see what it looks like. It's pretty cool, isn't it? Lagoons everywhere. So if we continue climbing in altitude, very, very cool. Okay, so I'll bring the camera back down. the main complex. So there we go, North Eleuthera International Airport in the Bahamas. Just to give you some idea on the map where we are. So if we zoom out, you've got the Bahamas there, you've got Florida, you've got Cuba. So we're off the east coast of Florida, north of Cuba. And yeah, this tiny thin archipelago here, North Eleuthera, is at the top end of it. Okay, so I'm going to pause and go on to the next airfield. So again, I should have said actually, this airfield is another one. It's free with Sim Update 16, or sorry, World Update 16, that brings lots and lots of assets into the Caribbean. It looks very good, doesn't it? Right, on to the next airport. Okay, I'm back. And today, or not today, but it's only a couple of minutes ago since we were at the last airport. We are now at Antoine-Simon Airport in Haiti, or Haiti, depending on what part of the world you're from. So let's go and have a look around the airport. Again, a very small provincial airport. It looks very cool, doesn't it? Just have a quick look around some of these buildings. It's really nicely modelled. You can see you've got the radio masts up here. Through the trees. Antoine-Simon. So I have to admit I don't know very much about Haiti at all. So if we zoom up into the air, do a Superman act, you can see the extent of the runway. So we have buildings this end and really not much else. It's a very, very small airfield, but it's really nicely done. There's obviously parking here with a nice island with some manicured grass. There's further buildings over here with cars parked around them. It's very, very small. I don't know if we can go into the interior of the airport. Looks like we can. Very cool. Now that is some detail, isn't it? Is there anything on the screens? There is. They've all got the same graphic. I think they have. So they're just showing the weather radar. It's very cool though, isn't it? So is there a tower here? I'm guessing it's this corner of this building, isn't it? Or maybe just the upstairs is the tower. I'm not sure if we can go in there. Yeah, there's nothing modelled in there. So there you go, that's Antoine-Simon in Haiti. If we fly up and away from the airport, we can get an idea of what it looks like. So again, this is one of the free airports that's been released as part of the Sim Update 16 covering the Caribbean. Very cool. Okay, on to the next airport. Where are we going next, I wonder? Okay, so we've changed completely. We are on the north coast of the Dominican Republic this time, and we are at, now let me get the name of this right. It's Aeropuerto Internacional Gregorio Luperón. So let's go and come up into the air. As you can see, it's an international airport with gates galore and terminal buildings, which we're going to go and have a nose around in a moment. Looks very cool, doesn't it? So let's have a look round at the rest of the airfield. So there's main runway there alongside the water. You can see a VOR over there. There's a windsock down below us. There's a VOR modelled into it. Okay, so let's go and have a look at some of the buildings on the airfield. It looks very cool. You've got the radar has been modelled and it's animated. Very, very cool. Lots of trees. I love seeing things like this animated properly in the sim. It makes a huge amount of difference. Okay, so we have lots of ancillary buildings with logistics and various support and supply buildings. Very cool. And we come down towards the airport. Just have a quick look. Interesting. Okay, so obviously some of the buildings don't have windows that are modelled, so you can't go inside them, but some of them do. So we can come and look inside the terminal here as well. And that's really nicely modelled. That texturing looks fantastic, doesn't it? Very, very good. It would be fascinating to look at photographs of the real place. I will admit I have not pulled up any photographs of this one to see if it's very close to the real thing, but it's certainly, the layout looks right, doesn't it? There's a pizzeria, there's various cafes. It's very cool. Not sure the signage is altogether correct, but it may well be. Let's come out on the other side of the airfield. Look at the parking lots. Solar panels everywhere. So the road furniture on the main parking lot, they've really gone to town on it, haven't they? This always surprises me when you see this level of detail in the simulator. Because obviously you're not going to see any of this when you're flying. But it's really, really lovely to see this attention to detail. You know, it just basically proves that they care. So obviously we can see inside the control tower there. It's heavily tinted, but you can see all of the hardware is inside there. It's very cool, isn't it? Oh, we get the privilege of watching. Is that somebody coming in or leaving? I think they're coming in, they're slowing down. It's an AI aircraft, it's got a pointy nose. Okay. So we have no business being parked at this gate, by the way. The landing fees here would be astronomical for a small little GA plane, I would imagine. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. So that was, just to remember the name again, Aeropuerto Internacional Gregorio Luperón on the north coast of the Dominican Republic. So, where are we going next? Let's find out. Okay, we're back again. This time we are at Les Saintes, which is a small airfield just off the south of Guadeloupe. So we're going to have a quick pan around to see what's here, and there isn't much here. As you can see, the scenery around it is going to be really interesting, so this is going to be a fun one to try and land at. So we may have to do a circuit with this one and take the aeroplane up. So let's go and have a look around the airfield first. So we can see we've got all sorts of small buildings alongside the airstrip, but they are very small buildings. Got a huge windsock. So we've got bigger buildings just across the way here with the car park. Oh no, I say bigger. Bigger is a relative term around here, isn't it? So they are, looks like corrugated tin lean-tos. Yeah, you can see the textures on the roof to reinforce that, and you've got some concrete buildings here and there. It's very cool. Obviously palm trees everywhere and a very, very short runway. So this will be fun. Now what's at the other end of the runway? Okay, so how do you approach from that end then? Oh, we have to do this, don't we? So this is Les Saintes. So let's go and come back down to our aeroplane. So rather than do this with a drone camera, we're going to get in the aeroplane and have a fly. Okay, so let's turn the head tracking on for a start. I'm not going to bother with the GPS or anything like that this time. We're just going to get the aeroplane up and running and see how far we get. So throttle cracked open. We have an engine. We'll go and put on the anti-collision lights. We'll put the pitot heat on. We really don't need it. We're not going to bother with the GPS, but we will put the avionics on. Okay, we'll calibrate the altimeter. I think we're going to need a fair amount of good luck as well. So which way is the wind going? So it's down the runway this way. Okay, so oh my word, that makes the landing even more difficult then if we're having to come in from the dangerous end. Oh, this is going to be good fun for a group flight, isn't it, to come in here. So hang on, I'm doing this wrong, aren't I? I need to be going this way to take off. So okay, so we've got a dangerous takeoff, not a dangerous landing. Whoa, nearly tipped the airplane over. Go to the other end. I no doubt people watching this are probably shouting at me, no, you've got that wrong, the wind's the opposite direction. Oh, hang on. That differs from... Have we got two windsocks going in opposite directions? I mean, they're hardly blowing, are they? So I hadn't made a mistake. That's interesting. So we've got different winds at different ends of the airfield. Okay, we'll turn around this end and we'll try and take off the dangerous way, just to make everybody laugh. Oh my word, we have rocks everywhere as well. So if you mess your landing up, you're going to wreck the aeroplane. There's no ploughing into the sand, you're going to destroy the aeroplane. This is going to be fun, isn't it? We'll hold it on the brakes, full throttle, and go. I've got the flaps on their first stage, and we'll see how we get on. We've got a bit of a crosswind going on actually, or is that just the torque? Let's get it back on the centre line. Coming up through 60 knots and rotate. And we'll go this way, shall we? Out over the water. Oh my word, and look. Oh, the textures aren't great, but the building details are fantastic. Oh, it's a shame the textures let it down. That's a real shame. They could have really done a number with this, couldn't they, and made it great fun. So let's lift the flaps. So the airfield looks fantastic, just the textures of the island have let it down. So there's a jetty here. Yeah, and they've got the low resolutions, and they haven't masked what was moored up, which is a real shame. So the question now is, can I find the airfield again? It was around here somewhere. Has anybody seen the airfield? Oh, it's behind us. Okay. Yeah, you could imagine if they... Or maybe this is... It has got good textures and I'm having a server issue going on, maybe. Because in places it's good. And in other places it isn't. which is usually indicative of a server issue going on. Okay, I'm trying to spot the runway before we get there. There we go. Yeah, so they've done the rocks here, look, but not the hillsides, which is really, really strange. Anyway, I have to concentrate. Brakes! I do like the Piper, the Archer 2. It's very versatile. That plane wasn't there a few minutes ago. Am I being followed? Actually, what is it? I don't think I've seen one of those before. Right, it was riding my tractor. Okay, so that was Les Saintes, and if we just look on the map to show you where that is, so there's Guadeloupe, and there's this tiny little island chain just south of Guadeloupe, Ile de Saintes, or yeah, Ile de Saintes, and it's there just south of Fort Napoleon. Okay, so off to the next airfield. Where's the last one going to be? Okay, so we've reached the final airport in our look at the free airports you get with World Update 16 for the Caribbean. This is Anna Robinson International. If you have a look on the map, you can see where it is. If we zoom out, those of you that know your geography, well, you can see the label there actually is Tobago. So yeah, we're on the southwest corner of Tobago. We've got Anna Robinson International Airport. And you can see it's been modelled really nicely. So let's go and have a look around. Got this huge radar up here, slowly spinning, scanning the skies. It's a bit of a misty day here. So you've got the building. Obviously there's no internals on the building. Look, the windows are blacked out. So this is very much in the style that the Orbex have traditionally built airfields. I don't know if they are behind this one, I'm not sure. Maybe it's been licensed from them. But it does mean that the refresh rate will be very, very good. So we'll just spin down to the far end of the airfield and have a look around at some of these ancillary buildings. Some of the assets. It's very, very cool, isn't it? So come down to the car parks. A big sign there for Tobago. Departures. Domestic check-in. Very cool. Anna Robinson International Airport. Very cool. The road furniture looks very good here as well. Obviously it runs out when you get too far from the airport, but we're not going to complain too much about that. So let's have a look at the overall layout from the sky. Should we get rid of this mist, put the weather on few clouds maybe. So yeah, it's a huge runway, isn't it? Look at the length of the runway. So you'd have to backtrack here though, look, so that's going to be fun if you're busy or trying to come in on a group flight. Let's go up in the air. So this airport does have the sandbanks, or this island I should say, Tobago, does have the sandbanks modelled, but bizarrely there seems to be like a curved area where it's been implemented. Very odd. It's like they've used very low resolution textures to do the undersea modelling and the sandbanks and coral reefs. But I guess normally you'd be obsessing over your aeroplane, wouldn't you, on final approach? That curve over there looks really, really ugly. Okay, let's come back down into the airport. So yeah, so this is our final free airport as part of World Update 16. So Anna Robinson International in Tobago. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully you've enjoyed seeing each of these airports. The way I discovered them, if you are wondering, what I did, I went into my file explorer in Windows, went to the community folder, went up a folder, down into the official folder, into the OneStore, and put them in reverse date order of when they were modified, which told me Vilo Acuña, there's Crown Point or TTCP, and then we've got where we are, MYEH, North Eleuthera, and so on and so forth. So I just walked down through them looking for airports that had been updated recently, and that gave me my answer as to what they'd actually changed in the sim. So there you go. Hopefully you found that interesting, so we now have some good places to go fly. See you soon.